In this video, I want to address page breaks and sections and section breaks. Um, First of all, when you create a document and you run out of room on a page, Word will automatically give you another page, right? And they refer to that as a soft break, right? Now here, I've got my show hide on. You have to work with your show hides on. You just have to. You're seeing that I have a lot of forced breaks that I inserted because I just didn't want this title starting on that page because it would look goofy, right? So once you've typed out the document, you'll be able to determine when and where you want things to break. Here, it just so happened that it broke naturally at a good place, so I didn't have to put in another page break. So here's a page break that I put in because I was ready to go to the next page. I'm going to delete it. So you simply put your insertion point in front of it, and it doesn't show if you don't have your show hide on, all right? You're blind, right? So by turning it on, I can see that there's a page break there. And now the contents of the next page have, of course, there's room on this page, so they've come up. If you want to insert another page break, there's a couple of ways. One of them is insert page break, right here. That's one way. Another way is page layout breaks page, right? So that's another way. And I believe it's Control Enter is the other, right? It's a shortcut that I use quite often, so it's one of the few that I've actually memorized. So Control Enter will give you a page break. So those are three ways of inserting a page break. The other thing that you can do, I've never actually used this, but if I know that I want this paragraph, regardless of what happens to this document, I want this paragraph to start a new page, right? I can actually set that in my paragraph settings. Now, we've studied all of this, but I never got into this tab. So here, I can ask that the page breaks before this paragraph. So regardless of what happens on page 1, I want a new page before this paragraph. And that paragraph has just been, I don't know, given like a superpower. I guess one of the issues I have with it is I don't see the page break, right? If I'm looking at this with my show hide, I'd be scratching my head thinking, how is it that this is on its new page when there's clearly room for it? But that's what that inserted. So it's kind of a neat feature. That's new to me. I didn't know about that one. Other things from that same menu, I want to take you back to this menu. It's not one that I've played with a whole lot, but Widow and Orphan control is, what this means is if you have a paragraph on a page, it will not allow that paragraph to start on the last line. And let me start that explanation over. Let's say this is a paragraph right here, all right? Widow or Orphan will not leave one line alone on a page. It won't leave the first line alone on page 1 and have the rest of the paragraph on page 2. And it won't allow the very last line of a paragraph alone on its own page. So it will make sure that there are at least 2 lines of a paragraph on the first page and 2 lines on the next page. So that's what that is. And I believe that's a default setting, right? So it just kind of looks goofy if you've got one line alone on a page and the rest of the paragraph is on another page. This one here says, I want these 2 paragraphs to stay together. So if you're in paragraph 1 and you want to make sure it stays with paragraph 2, you would simply hit that and those 2 would stay together. And here, I like this one a lot. It says keep lines together. In other words, every line of the paragraph has to stay on the same page. So those are neat features to use, different ways of just making your document look more professional without having lines of the paragraph all over the place in different pages. So keep those in mind. So just for the sake of demonstration, I entered a bunch of paragraphs here, blank ones, just so I can demonstrate what these features do. So I'm going to go into paragraph once again. You can right click and go to paragraph. And Widow and Orphan is on. So that means if I keep hitting enter, it's not going to push just one line to the next page. It pushed 2. Okay? Very important that you understand that. I'm just going to undo. And then I'm going to change the setting to keep lines together. So now the whole thing should stay together. So I'm going to force it, all right? So rather than just 1 or 2 lines, the whole paragraph stayed together. So that worked perfectly as well. So far, so good. Next, there's a feature to keep two paragraphs together. So I need to bring this back a little bit. And okay, so I've set this up again. So here I want to try the one where it says to keep paragraphs together. So here it says keep with the next. So I want this paragraph to stay with this one. So if the first one goes on the next page, this one's supposed to go as well. And it didn't altogether. Most of it, half of it did, half of it didn't. All right. And now I guess if I undo and I use two features, I'm going to go back to paragraph. I'm going to say keep with next, but I'm also going to say keep lines together. That way when one goes, the other will go totally. And it did. All right, so there's a brief demonstration of how those things work. Along the